everybody for being here today. So, why bother writing a plan when you could be saving koalas? It's a valid question. I'm sure that anyone who's been involved in writing a comprehensive koala plan of management, or KPOM for short, has either asked themselves or been asked at some point. I myself have been involved in the groundwork for or the preparation of 4 comprehensive koala plans of management. I've spent many long, hot, mosquito-ridden days in the field and many more days at the desk, working towards the creation of these rare things of beauty. Each of them's cost a small fortune in state funding, ratepayer money, and blood, sweat and tears. And I know that there are a bunch of plans like these written about other threatened species, about the management of our natural areas, that just get put on shelves in council offices and state government offices, and there they stay. So it's easy to question this effort. Why aren't we all out there planting trees or providing care to sick koalas, actually doing something? State Environmental Planning Policy number 44, Koala Habitat Protection, bear with me here, or SEP 44 for short, is the piece of legislation that encourages the making of these plans. I'm just got to turn this on somehow. The wrong button. This is the aim of SEP 44. This policy aims to encourage the proper conservation and management of areas of natural vegetation that provide habitat for koalas to ensure a permanent free-living population over their present range and reverse the current trend of population decline. I'll say that again. To encourage the proper conservation and management of areas of natural vegetation that provide habitat for koalas, to ensure a permanent free-living population over their present range, and to reverse the current trend of population decline. This is actually one of the most excellent sentences in any piece of environmental legislation that I've ever read. And each koala plan created under SEP 44 puts it out there as a public reminder that this is the goal that we're working towards. And adoption of a plan by community, council and state just reinforces that. Each plan that's written then drills down to what the vision is for its particular koala population. Tweed's koala plan aims simply to recover the koala population to more sustainable levels. And similarly, Byron's draft plan envisages a long-term sustainable future for koala populations. Now these also sound pretty good, but what does that sustainable future look like? How many koalas actually make up a sustainable population on the coast? Well, Tweed sets itself the goal in the plan of probably more than doubling the current koala population to around 200 to 250 animals on the coast within the next 20 years. And Byron is aiming for a population of around 250 to 300 koalas. And how much habitat do these sustainable koalas need? Well, the answer is a minimum of 2,600 hectares on the Tweed, and that's well-connected habitat patches in good condition. That means creating about 300 more hectares, at least, of koala habitat on the Tweed coast. And Byron's draft plan also aims for the creation of at least 200 hectares of additional habitat. So we've answered those questions, and it sounds like we've got it all sorted. But actually, Tweed's and Byron's experience with preparing koala plans of management is that not necessarily everything has gone to plan. In 1997, I finished high school, and Tweed Shire Council resolved to prepare a koala plan of management. Over the next 13 years, the need for Tweed Coast to have a koala plan of management was reiterated in various strategies of council. a number of bids for funding were made. And in 2010, one was successful. Council then resolved, again, to commence the koala planning process. By 2011, the Tweed Coast Koala Habitat Study was complete. And in February last year, the Tweed Coast CAPON was adopted as a strategy of council. Hallelujah. Hang on. Ideally, the next and final step for any koala plan is to also be approved by the New South Wales Department of Planning and Environment. Now, this is where it's got a bit tricky for Tweed, and Tweed's plan's not yet over that hurdle. So Byron's habitat study followed closely behind Tweed's in 2012, and a draft plan for the Byron Coast was prepared shortly thereafter. However, Council and the Department of Planning have both been reluctant to approve that plan. Other LGAs have had their own unique experiences of getting through the koala planning process. I'll share a couple of examples. A plan for South East Lismore was 18 years in the making and was finally approved by Council and the Department of Planning in 2013. Ballina Shire Council adopted its koala management strategy, just calling it something slightly different, in March this year, and is hoping for Department of Planning endorsement shortly. Kempsey Shire Council and Department of Planning approved a plan of management for the eastern portion of their shire back in 2011. And Coffs Harbour has had a plan in place since 1999. And other local LGAs are yet to commence the process. That final stamp of approval by the New South Wales Government does give a plan additional weight in the planning process, but it's been getting more and more difficult to obtain that approval in recent years for a number of reasons. It's been our experience, though, that it's not actually essential to getting things done. So even while these plans were still in preparation, and during these long and drawn-out processes, we set about the business of trying to save koalas on the Tweed and Byron coasts. Now, reversing the trend of population decline means reducing the threats. One of the most basic jobs of a koala plan is simply to lay out the tools in the toolbox that we have at our disposal to try and tackle those big ticket pieces of the puzzle. Habitat restoration, road mortality, dog attack, koala care and welfare, fire management, community engagement, strategic planning, and development control. In reality, it doesn't take a plan to tell us that those are the areas that need attention. And in fact, the legislation that I spoke about before tells us that our plans need to address these issues, and pretty much all plans do. And Tweed and Byron's plans are no different. But what has been different is the influence of the Koala Connections project. Koala Connections has put its stamp on this plan already. Koala Connections has put a stamp on habitat restoration, meaning that we're already well advanced towards the goals of both shires for creation of brand new koala habitat. Koala Connections has started to tackle road mortality, setting about attempting to change driver behaviour on one of the worst koala roads in the Tweed. We've made a start on planning for better responses and more proactive management of fire on the coast through Koala Connections. And it's also meant that we've been able to extend our pest animal monitoring work with really valuable results. And of course, one of the big things is the engagement that this project has generated, which really speaks for itself. So it's true that much of this work would have happened plan or no plan. But now that Koala Connections is wrapping up, we'll really see the need for these plans to shift into gear. And that's because the plans become vital to seeing work continue towards those targets. And they do this firstly because they commit councils to providing ongoing funding towards each of the plan's actions. And these actions are expensive. And secondly, they serve as a constant reminder to community and council that they've made the commitment to keep restoring koala habitat and keep moving towards creating the conditions on the coast where recovery can actually occur. The most challenging job of the plans, as I see it now, is to continue that momentum that Koala Connections has created. And while it sometimes feels like an end in itself, having that plan is just the start. So looking ahead, one of the other major jobs of the plan is tracking whether recovery is actually happening. Tweed's plan has 35 actions, each aimed at enabling recovery, and each of these is measurable. The plans provide the detail about when, how, and who is to do each of these actions. We're compelled then to ask ourselves on a regular basis whether we're using those actions, those tools, the way they were intended, and whether they're working the way we expected them to. For example, are the development controls in the plan being used by developers and council's planners, and are they resulting in those good outcomes for koalas? 5 years down the track, say, are we on track towards those targets for koala habitat creation? And how much have we been able to reduce the risk of vehicle strike on our roads? And these are all good questions, but arguably the more important question to ask is, have any or all of these actions actually made a difference? Are we reversing that trend of population decline? What everyone really wants to know is, how are the koalas doing? So we set about answering that question last year on the Tweed coast, 5 years after the original habitat study was done. And the answer is not good. So if we look at this little snapshot of the Tweed coast, this is the round mountain area. The area within the dotted line, we can point. The area within the dotted line here is the results from the 2011 habitat study, work done in 2010. And that dotted line indicates the extent of the resident koala population in that area back in 2010. The solid red line, if you can see it up here, indicates the extent of that resident koala population in 2015. This is scary stuff. There are lots of things to say about this, and this comes with caveats about the scale of the survey and looking at the Tweed coast as a whole. But the general story on the Tweed coast is that we have seen continued decline in the last 5 years. But at least we know that. And the plans commit us to doing this monitoring and keeping up with that knowledge at least every 3 years from now on. What we also know is this is going to be a long haul. As Scott said in the introduction, it's a forever job. Because the basic biology of the koala, because of the compounding effects of small populations and the momentum of the decline, that even when our populations begin to recover, there's going to be a lag period while this turnaround happens. And we're likely to continue to record decline before we record recovery for some years to come. I am worried that we will continue to monitor our coastal koalas into extinction. But I'm also optimistic, partly because koalas are resilient, and goodness knows they'd have to be. Partly because we've seen the incredible engagement that's happened as a result of the Koala Connections project. Partly because having a plan means that councils are accountable to community and have a responsibility to champion the recovery effort, using that framework that they've created. And partly because communities and councils have declared through these plans that we're not giving up.